Continuing with the Proverbs from chapter 10, verse 18. He that hides hatred with lying lips, and he that utters a slander is a fool. I think this is something that people not necessarily even know or understand what they're doing in terms of hiding a hatred with lying lips. So, what does it mean is actually when somebody gets offended and they don't want to humble themselves and admit that something that we have done or said it hurt them. So they and we ask, hey, is everything fine? Is everything all right? And they say like, yeah, everything is fine. Are you sure? Yeah, everything is fine. And then they lead on that everything is fine, even though inside that there is the hiding, the hatred, they hiding the offense, that they are offended, but they don't want to humble themselves and admit that, because it requires humility to admit that. And I know that of course for men and but especially for women, that's like more common. There's even jokes made about it. Like when the guy sort of asks, "Is everything fine?" "Yeah, everything is fine," and you can see that the woman is offended. So there's even like jokes and comedies made out of that. But it's clearly says that it's a foolishness. And what tendency is that they say it's fine in their face, but behind the back they talk slander. And it means that their gossip many times comes in the face. They might say everything is fine, but then behind the back talk all kind of things. And it says that those who do that, they are fools. It means it's foolishness. You leading person in a wrong way, and this many times people do out of habit, just because their parents did it, or their friends did it, or they've seen this in the movies, and it's like all over. It's just it's wickedness and it's foolishness. Like in this Bible verse says, it's foolishness. Whereas, like it's way better to humble yourself and admit, hey, what you have done or said, it hurt me, and then you let the other person be that they will kind of say like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. If it's a friend, they usually will say that, and or they say like, well, it's your problem. I didn't mean it. So either the restoration will happen, or then their true intent will be revealed. So, but it's important to sort of like humble ourselves and be vulnerable in the situation if we have any kind of hidden hatred or offense, that if we cannot resolve it inside, and it just keeps festering and growing, and sort of like gets hidden there and it doesn't come out by itself, then it's important to speak to the individual and say that, hey, what you have said, it hurted me. Even though it seems like weird why anybody would get hurt by whatever, but it's your feelings and it's important to express it, because then you will, if you don't deal with it, you will start talking about it to other people, like you will start slandering the other individual that hurted you in whatever way. So and that leads to foolishness, and the people will see, okay, that's foolishness, because you surrender the power. You have the power for reconciliation, which is to say to people that you've been hurt, and then they show your vulnerability, and many times people do repent and the relationship gets in a correct place. But most of the people are like and for myself also, it's very hard sometimes to do that. A couple times I fasted, actually, even to bring things to surface, because it's difficult, and the flesh needs to get humbled. So if you find yourself sometimes fasting, is a very good way to get in the right position before confronting a person and telling that, hey, this what you have done hurted you, and then things can be resolved in whatever way. But you don't surrender the power by lying that everything is fine. Because every time you say everything is fine when deep down you feel hurt, it's lying, and you surrender the power and you lead people in the wrong direction. It's important to humble and admit, and because otherwise you'll start gossiping. That's just automatic response. If you don't deal with it correctly, one thing is just to forgive and forget. But if you feel still inside that there's something boiling, you need to share it, that your feelings were hurt, and then you will be set free. Actually, when you admit that, you get set free, and there is no more ill will towards the other person. There is no more gossip anymore. So that's very, very important, because otherwise people will see that what you're doing is foolishness, and they might not necessarily consciously think that you're a fool, but definitely any kind of influence you had with a person will definitely decrease if you do that, because they will think that, okay, this person is not trustworthy because he or she talking bad about this other person. They might be talking about me as well if that's happening. So it's important to deal with it correctly and not to let it fester in the heart. Continuing with verse 19, in the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refrains his lips is wise. So now, like, when you speak a lot, many times there will be tendency to misspeak things, and say wrong things that you shouldn't be saying, and then many times the regret can come, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. So that's sort of like a sin in terms of error, that we done some mistake by talking too much stuff. But sometimes we see that we catch ourselves like, should I tell this or not? Usually, if you think about should I tell this or not, usually we shouldn't. Even though it feels juicy, usually it's good to stop yourself and not to tell. And sometimes I even pray, Lord, can I tell this? And sometimes it's might be okay, but most of the time, usually it's not good to say. If you have to consider whether it's okay to say it. And none of us are perfect in this area. I believe that but still it's important to learn more and more to refrain our lips from saying the wrong things, and that is wisdom. That is wisdom, not to misspeak. I speak too much. Verse 20: the tongue of the just is choice silver; the heart of the wicked is little worth. So, and I think that in here clearly shows that slandering and talking too much is wickedness. And it says like the tongue of the just is choice silver, which means that the just person will choose what to speak, what not to speak, and and it comes out of the heart. But they were really like careful what comes into their heart, and if something wrong is there, they try to deal with it as quick as possible. And it says the heart of the wicked is little worth, so it means that they allow anything to grow there or fester, and they don't deal with it. They usually like pride gets in the way, and they're not saying things honestly and correctly as it's supposed to be. So it's very important to deal whatever is in our heart that we wouldn't allow to fester, that we would be like this just person whose tongue is a choice silver. Verse 21: the lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. So now when our hearts are correct, we have repented, we have dealt with things, and whenever something happens, we deal with it. We can walk in righteousness, and then we can feed many people. We see things clearly, we can see things better, because there's no bitterness in the heart. So we able to see what's going on. So then we're able to help others too, to speak right things. So then we can feed many. It says that the lips of the righteous feed many. So we can, when we see that our heart is clean, it's clear, and we know it's clean and clear, then we can speak stuff, and our eyes are open, our hearts are open, and then we can bring the truth to surface and help others to also get set free and get cleansed from that. But those who are let their hearts be festered with all kind of things, with bitterness, then In the beginning it says fools and they die for want of wisdom, which basically many times they end up saying such like things. God, why is this thing happening to me? Why is this all things all the time happening to me? And why we're suffering so much? Well, that's mouth of foolishness. And they die in that kind of state many times. Or stay in it very long and then die. But it's important. It's important to learn. It's important to grow. It's important to deal with things. It's important to express our emotions, our feelings to others. And if they hurt us, to say that, and then we can get our heart get cleansed, and we can walk in the way of righteousness. And then we will speak the truth, the just, and we won't be gossiping or slandering anybody, and walk in the way of righteousness, the way God has prescribed us to go with, and we will have the life of God in operation in this life while we're still here on earth as well. So this is what I want to share with you today, and God bless you.